Welcome, gamers, to Basement Arcade Pause Menu, the show where we hit pause, sit back, and just chill. I'm your host, Ben Magnet, and today on the show, I have a dude who is very, very good with a paintbrush. This man makes some incredible art. I had the honor to meet him over at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Please welcome to the show, artist extraordinaire, square painter, aka Adam Schub. Adam, how's it going, my man?
Good to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, so, also, I apologize for kind of some of the mess back here. We've been redoing stuff in the basement and whatnot.
Hey, completely understandable. I mean, this may look like it's organized, but it is absolute utter chaos behind
it. It always is. You got the game collection going there and whatnot, or
my game collection's in a dresser mostly.
Oh, like really?
All right. Yeah, the games that are right here, I can't fit into my dresser anymore. It's full.
Yeah. I know that feeling all too well. I think we all do.
Oh yeah, we definitely do. Especially after when you come back from a convention like Portland, it's just I have so much crap now. Where am I gonna put all this? But to paraphrase Ian Malcolm, you find space, or space finds a way.
Space finds a way. I only bought one. Well, my partner Nina bought some video game vinyl and bought me like the Ninja Gaiden trilogy vinyl for my birthday then. But I only bought one thing. I bought the Streets of Rage 4 collector set for the Switch, and that was the only thing I bought at Portland. I was very proud of myself for the self-control.
That's awesome. I didn't have that. Well, at least I didn't have that, or I had that up to a certain point, and then I realized, how am I get this home? So before we get started into this, I just want to let our audience know. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably going to see some really cool pieces. Audio listeners, we will be as descriptive as humanly possible.
I have photos of everything too, so you can take a look at them on my Twitter and my Instagram.
Yeah, you could probably look on his Twitter, his Instagram to see what we're talking about. But also, I would also recommend coming on here and watching it as well. But yes, so Adam, out of curiosity, I ask every new guest on the show this question: how exactly did you get into video games? Like, what was the catalyst that wanted you to play video games?
I played video games before, like I got into them like, I don't know, maybe when I was like 6. I started with an Atari 2600, but I'd already played Nintendo. By then I had an older cousin, and I remember playing like, Super Mario Duck Hunt and like Punch Out he had, and I remember just seeing those games. But my dad came home with an Atari 2600 and like 40 games from someone that just gave it to him at work. So this was probably about like 86, so I was like 4 or 5 years old. So like, Tutankhamun, Gyrus, obviously Asteroids, Combat. Those are like some of the games that I remember growing up with, Pitfall. And then from there, I had a Sega Master System actually first. I still have it. I hope it still works. But yeah, I had a Master System before I had a Nintendo for like a good year or two probably. And like the video store by me actually had Master System games for rent. So like, a Double Dragon is still one of my favorite games ever. I played like the Master System version once. I have very fond memories of that. Shinobi, Transbot, it's a side-scrolling shooter. And then probably by, I don't know, like 89, 90-ish, about 89, I probably got a Nintendo finally.
Wow. I think you're the first person on the show who said that they had a Master System before they ever had a Sega Genesis.
Yeah, it was very, very weird growing up. I didn't even really know what a Master System was. My dad just brought it home. And it was like, I'd heard of Sega before, I guess. I don't know. I was so young that I was just happy to have video games.
Yeah. I mean, because you were saying this for you, this was back in the 80s. I wasn't around yet, but because I grew up in the 90s, and when someone said Sega, my first thought went, "Oh, the Sega Genesis," because that was the only machine that was like widely advertised. I didn't see any advertisements for the Sega Saturn, and then when I found out about the Dreamcast, I was like, "Oh, cool, that's neat." And then I'm like, "Wait, what's the Sega Saturn? You mean there was a console in between the Genesis and the Dreamcast? That can't be right."
Yeah, I mean by that point, because I was born in '81. So I was already in high school and everything when all that was going on, and like the bit wars or whatever you want to call it, the console wars. I was actually lucky enough. Like I was always a Super Nintendo kid. That's still my favorite system. But I also, for my 13th birthday, my parents got me a Genesis and a Sega CD, which I still have the box for my Sega CD right up there. Yeah, so I had both.
Oh,
in the 16-bit era.
You were that awesome kid.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I I love the Sega Genesis. Don't get me wrong. I love the Sega CD. Even like the crappy FMV games, like Mad Dog McCree. I love those games for what they are. It's not the best system, but I enjoy it. But Super Nintendo was like where my heart was. Like I never got rid of my Super Nintendo games. Like I don't know, you can see the shelf like way back. That one right there that I'm pointing at. The Nintendo and the Super Nintendo games are on there. All my old Super Nintendo carts, like original ones, are still there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, that so many kids would be back from what I can remember. Especially on the playground during the console wars, just because I was in elementary school when all this was going on. And we were just talking about, we were just happy to know of someone that even had a video game console.
Yeah, that's how I was too, with like the Atari and the Sega or the Master System. I was just happy to have video games.
That's awesome, because the first console I ever got in my household was a PlayStation. That was like the first home console. We had Game Boys, but that was as far as my parents were going to go. Because they're like, we're just going to buy you computer games, because we had a Windows 95 PC. We had Doom. That's how I played Sonic CD on it.
Cool. I didn't have that. My dad was a graphic designer, and so I had a Mac growing up in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So eventually I had Wolfenstein, and then eventually we had Doom, because stuff came out later for it. But the first computer-based FPS I played was Marathon. And that was Bungie made that. The guys, they did Halo afterwards. I think everyone knows that one. But Marathon, they did it was a trilogy. It was Marathon, and then Durando, and then Infinity. And the first two I played the shit out of. I loved those games. So I eventually got Wolfenstein 3D, I don't know, in the mid 90s, and then like by the late 90s. Like I was late with all that stuff. Yeah, maybe I think I finally got Doom 2 in like 98 or something.
Don't worry about it, because I didn't get a bunch of consoles until much later in the
system. Yeah. You can't play everything. You can't have everything. I mean,
as much as you want to, you can't play everything. And that's my backlog, especially today, is living proof that there's no way on this green earth that I could play everything unless somehow $10 million just falls into my bank account magically.
Yeah. I just don't have the time with like doing squarepainter is a full-time. I do it full-time. And then like I also have my band, and we're recording a record. We can talk about that too. And then I have another idea for a non-gaming related YouTube channel that I want to work on, and I have to backburner that. So like I barely have time to play games. Like I had just installed Red Dead Redemption 2 again, and I sat down to play it, and this is just too much. I don't have the time to like dedicate to this. The game just feels too big to like get into right now. So I can't even like get into a game like that. I've been playing Breath of the Wild on and off since 2020. Wow. Yeah, I don't want it to end. I love the game so much. My partner has been asking me like, can you finish this fucking game already so I can play it? They were just bothering me last night about it. Like, I want to, but I like it too much.
Yeah. No, when I got Breath of the Wild, when I first bought my Switch, and like the first few months the Switch was out, there were times I would come home from work or I was doing stuff at home, and my girlfriend would text me on her break. She's like, don't play Breath of the Wild yet. I'm like, why not? It's my day off. I want to play games. I'm like, why? And she says, I want to watch you play. So play something else. Just let me watch. I want to see the end.
Oh, geez. Because I didn't want to see anything. When it first came out, we were living with with roommates. And one of my roommates had this like huge setup downstairs and was playing Breath of the Wild. And like I would walk by like this literally to go to the kitchen. And she's like, "Yo, you got this flying dragon dropping like huge like ice bombs at me." Like, no. I need to experience this as like fresh as possible.
Everything was a spoiler. Everything was. You were just like, no.
Yep. I didn't want it to see. I remember watching a little bit where they were in like the snowy area right in the beginning, where like it shows you how to make like food to warm you up. That was the one little thing that I saw, but everything else was completely fresh for me. I'm up. I think I'm on like a third dungeon. I have one more to go, and then it's like the castle where you fight Ganon, right? Yeah. Man. So I mean, I'm not going for like all the Korok seeds and
No. dude, there's 900 of them, and even then, it's just like, where the hell? There are
My
times
friend did that twice. You know Gerard, completionist Gerard?
I do. I am
he
well.
fucking did it twice because he's crazy. Like he told me, he's like, "Oh, I'm obviously gonna do it once," and then like I saw him at a con and we were just talking Breath of the Wild. He's like, "Dude, I did it again." I'm like, "What is wrong with you, man?" Like I don't know where he finds the time for all those games, but
I mean,
he's nuts.
once
He's the
was
one person I know
enough.
that did it twice.
Once, I didn't know he did it twice. I know he did it once for his Breath of the Wild video, and I was like, "Cool, you never have to do this again." Why twice?
He just wanted to. He loved the game so much. I could see that though.
I can understand. I can understand that. So
Yep.
earlier you mentioned that you go by squarepainter. How did you start painting? How did that happen?
So I started messing around painting pixels in like 2005, 2006 ish.
Mm-hmm.
I had the story I always tell is that I had a project in college. We had to overlay a grid on like a famous painting. So I picked this Manet that I liked, and you had to take the average color in each square. And I was doing it in like the common area of like my suite. I lived with 7 other guys in college. It was fucking nuts. So I'm working on it out there, and one of them comes in and is like, "What are you painting squares, painting pixels for like one of your classes?" Because even back then, this was, like I said, 2005. I had my Super Nintendo up there, and like I was the one that always loved the retro games and stuff. I mean, we had like a PlayStation and an Xbox in the front room, so everyone knew that I loved the retro stuff. And they're like, "Oh yeah, of course you'd be painting Nintendo games for a class." I'm like, "That's not a bad idea." So I found some sprite rips of Mega Man, and I drew a grid, and I painted Mega Man that night, and I still have it. It's like Mega Man in like 6 different poses. I found that it's still in my parents' house. Painted terribly. I didn't know what I was doing, and then so like I started back then.
Nice. So you already had a love of painting beforehand, and then you just got this idea from your roommate saying, "Oh, you're just painting."
Yeah, a love of art in general. And then like, I was really, by then, like 05, like the retro gaming boom was already starting then. So like I'd seen other people that like had done pixel painting. So shout out to my friend Ryan Barrett. He goes by Pixel Art Paintings. Give him a follow on Instagram. He's a super good friend of mine. He started doing this in like 2004. So I remember seeing like his art and like some other people's online, like while I was doing this, like, oh, other people are doing this too. That's pretty cool. So it just like, it became a thing. I just messed around with it for a couple of years, and then like I stopped for a while, and then some friends encouraged me to get back into it. And I did like my first art show in like 2009 when I was living in New York. So in like Brooklyn and Manhattan and Queens, I was doing art shows everywhere. Then by 2010, I started getting into conventions and whatnot.
Okay. And wow, so you've been doing this for well over like 10 plus years. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. I've been doing like I didn't even have the Square Painter name until like 2009. I picked that 08, 09. I think I needed a name for like the first art show that I did in 09 was with like an old friend from high school who I still do art shows with. He's like, "Oh, I need a name for what for your art for the show you're doing." And I was like, I was kicking around like, "All right, Square Painter. We'll just use that." And it stuck. So that's what I use.
That stories like that just make me smile.
All right.
It's like,
because I can make you smile.
Well, because you have it like, because so just a little backstory inside baseball, how you and I came into contact before Portland Retro Gaming Expo. My girlfriend was just like looking through all the vendors who were going to be at Portland this past year. And she was like, she found your booth, just Square Painter, looked you up on Instagram, showed me your art. And I was like, yo, that's like really cool. Oh. And then I see the name Square Painter. I'm like, man, that's actually a really cool name. That you must have, the fact that names have just like the simplest of origins.
It really didn't have much of an origin at all. Yeah. It just came about.
Or not the simplest. Let's say the humblest of origins. Yeah. Because I see a name like that, it's like, oh, he must have put like a lot of thought into that, because who knows how many other Square artists or pixel artists there are out there. And he's like, I need to be different. I need to do this. Square Painter, yaha. And it was just, and to find out that, I was just like, oh yeah, Square Painter, let's go with that. And it sticks. Yeah,
let's go with that. And it stuck. And people started like it just, I started using it for the art shows, and yeah, it stuck. And then once I started doing cons, every content creator has like their moniker So that just stuck, because when I got into the convention scene, everyone just started knowing me as that, and I've been doing it for so long, so why not?
So out of curiosity, how many conventions a year would you do?
Well, in the before times, before COVID, it was the height of it, man, 10 to 12 usually.
Oh, wow.
10 to 12 cons a year we would do. My partner Nina, they do amazing horror illustrations too. They go by Tiny Ninja if you want to look them up too. So we do all the shows together, but yeah, we would travel to a lot of cons together. And occasionally I would do a show by myself, or Nina would do a show by themselves. So we would travel to those. And then post COVID, we're usually doing like 5 to 6. A lot of smaller cons kind of fell off. They weren't able to come back. But there's the big ones like MagFest and like Too Many Games in Portland. Portland's the one that we fly out for. Yeah. So I've done, I don't even know, 200 maybe more conventions. I've done a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, I still have all my badges from all of them.
Yes, keep them. That's like
keep all the badges.
Keep all the badges. That's like, no pun intended, that's like a badge of honor. It's like, look at all the conventions I've been to.
Yeah, we bought this house like over a year ago, and we're still unpacking. And the majority of my badges are still in a box in the basement. All the newer ones are like down in like this art area that I have here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So going to your paintings, I have two different questions for you, and they might be the same answer. But what is your favorite game to paint, and what is your favorite era of painting? Because I know you do 8-bit. You started doing 16-bit stuff, but looking through a bunch of your Instagram posts most recently, it's been a lot of 8-bit and Game Boy games. So first question is, what's your favorite game to paint?
This one right here, which I just happen to have. You're going to see one in progress if you guys follow me on social media.
Oh, Earthbound.
Yep, my favorite game ever. So you guys get to see this in progress. I still got to finish painting the little house and then do the grass, and then it's just clean up from there. So yeah, so the Saturn Valley thing, this is on a 16 by 20. So yeah, I've been working on that. So I love 16-bit is my favorite era of video games. It just takes that much longer to paint, especially with like just capturing the nuance of it, and then taking a lot, because a lot of the color, the way it was displayed on the screen, wouldn't translate well to a painting because it looks weird when you blow the sprites up. So I have to do a lot of recoloring. 8-bit is just like, since I'm doing this as my job, I need to constantly be producing art so I can keep food in the fridge. So I could do 8-bit paintings. Like here, I have here, you can see another one. No one's seen this one yet. I have a 9x12 of just, Mario and Luigi giving the peace sign. Yeah, so this is like some sprite edits, because those aren't actually from the game, from like Mario 3 that never face the camera and do the peace. So yeah, that's some editing. But yeah, the 8-bit is I could do way quicker. So I have such a system down that I can just knock those out. And I literally have hundreds and hundreds of designs on my computer. But yeah, I love doing 16-bit. It just, it takes that much longer to do.
So, okay. So so your favorite game is,
Earthbound's my favorite game.
Yeah. So Earthbound is your favorite game. I'm trying to remember the second question. So 16-bit is your favorite era to paint, but unfortunately it just takes too long.
It just takes too long. Exactly. Yeah. I just, There's so many Super Nintendo games that are that I would love to get to paint. I have a whole bunch of ideas from Demon's Crest that I would love to get to. I love the pixel art from that. And I've never done a painting from Super Castlevania 4 because the graphics are a little weird for that. Again, when you blow it up, because it's an earlier Super Nintendo game. And I should just do something from that already.
Let's say you're tackling a 16-bit project. What exactly is the process? Because when I see obviously I'm a consumer. I don't know what the process is. I see this at cons. I see this on your Instagram. It's all finished and it's all done. I don't know what goes into it because when I see stuff like that, I think, they just take that and they just somehow make it bigger. But the fact that you said there's a little bit of editing to it, there's a little bit more nuance. So what is the process to make something like your Earthbound piece into reality?
Oh God. Okay. I do everything in Photoshop first. I build everything out. So I have endless sprite rips, level maps, screenshots from games. Shout out to VG Maps, VGM Museum, and Spriters Resource. I think it's the same group that runs all three. Those three sites, I wouldn't be able to do my art because it's all like 1-to-1 pixel ratio stuff. So I have all that, and then I'll just come up with an idea. So I'm like, oh, I wanted to do the phase disorder from the end of Earthbound. I actually painted a version of that, a big 3 foot by 2 foot, like 12 years ago. And I've always wanted to revisit it now with like my new skills. So I will, I will physically put every single sprite in the scene. And I have like, my Photoshop file will be like literally working at the pixel level, how many pixels high and wide it is to fit on this one's like a 1620. So I have a whole math system for that. And I lay everything out so I know exactly where everything is going to be first. And I get all my colors laid out. I know how I'm going to mix the color. I get everything done. And then from there, I will grid out the canvas. I'll box off areas like, okay, here's the phase order. Here's where the 4 kids are going to be. Here's where, the Mr. Saturn's are. Here's where Dr. Andonuts is. And then I'll just grid. And then everything is all in relation to one another. So if your pixels are off, it throws off the whole painting. So you got to be like super meticulous when you're laying everything out. Make sure everything's perfect. And then whatever the darkest color is, 99% of the time it's black. I'll just use that, drawing like, painting like the outlines of the characters, get everything laid out. And then I just start laying in layers of color from there. And then, just doing like probably around like at least 3 coats of paint for each character and everything. And then we'll go back and clean up lines. And, now on this one, I have to do the lightest green for that. So once I lay that in, then I'll have to like go back and clean up like all the characters and stuff and just get it all nice and neat. And then spray varnish it when it's done.
Nice.
Yep.
So how long? Okay, so going off of your Earthbound project, how long would you say? Like, how many hours can you guestimate that you've put into that?
Everybody asks me this. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those.
No. It's fine. It's fine. It's a question that you would naturally ask. I don't know. It's 20, 30. I don't. It's because like I had like I have so many designs banging around on my computer. So this one I probably had to lay out for years on my computer. I'd go back, I'd fix it. Okay. And then finally when I get to it, and I'm like, okay, let me just start laying it out. So from the time of like me painting it to now, I've put at least 2 days and working on it. Anywhere between like 16 to 20 hours I've put into it already.
Oh, wow. So
yeah, about more like 16.
Okay, so now follow-up question, and you probably get this asked a lot too. What was your quickest project? The one that you're like, I didn't realize I got that done that fast.
Any of the ones like the little 6x6s or like 5x7 paintings. I could knock those out in like 2 hours or so, depending on the color. If it's an 8-bit,
neat.
Yeah, I can get those done pretty quick. Anywhere between 2-3 hours.
Mm-hmm. So right now I'm just like scrolling through your Instagram because I'm just absolutely enthralled.
Thank you.
By all of your pieces, because of course when my girlfriend showed me your artwork, and when I met you at Portland, I was still upset. Not the fact that I couldn't buy a painting, but the fact that I couldn't get a painting home with me safely. Due to my
feeling well. It's tough. I had to take all that home, and I had to put it on the plane too. So I had like my giant rolling carry-on bag, or not, or one that I had to check. My giant bag. I would pack everything in the middle, and like I would like bubble wrap it, and then I would literally just pack it in the middle of my clothes. So I had one casualty. I had a River City Ransom painting that had a slight tear in it. It's fine. I fixed it. It's on my shop. You could buy it for a discount on there. I have photos that it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little rip that I fixed. So yeah, there was just one casualty with that.
Yeah. I'm looking at like your Sonic the Hedgehog one where he's like next to the sign. It's like, I want that. Also the Final Fantasy one, Black Mage. And you even got games from like licensed games like Darkwing Duck and Batman. But out of curiosity, do you have a painting that is like a super deep cut that not a lot of people would probably recognize?
There's a lot that I want to do. I have to straddle the line between painting stuff that people know and stuff that'll sell. So, or rather like stuff that I want to paint, or rather stuff that will sell, the recognizable stuff. Vice Project Doom is one of my favorite NES games. And there's a cutscene where like the main character has got his gun out and it just says, "Come on, boys, let's party." And I think that's hysterical. Like, I would want that on a shirt. Like, "Come on, boys, let's party," with his gun out. I would paint that, and if it didn't sell, I would just keep it for myself. But like, I gotta really like literally plan out like my hours to the day of like how much I'm gonna be able to produce for the day versus how much I could sell and how much money I'm gonna get from it. Oh, we got guests. My cats are jumping into the cameras in the back. We got 2 of them running around. So
I got 2 cats as well. I completely understand.
Awesome. They're the best. But I would love to. I would love to be able to paint like really obscure paintings. I love when I get commissions for weird stuff. I paint skate decks, and I had a commission to paint a Wall Street kid on a skateboard a few years ago, and they were like, would you paint this? I know it's kind of weird. I was like, absolutely. I'm hyped as fuck to paint this. Like, I would never even think to paint Wall Street Kid 1 and 2 like on a skateboard, and 3 like you're commissioning me for this. Like, I fucking love this idea. I am all about it. So if you want something obscure that's within the realm of reality, don't ask me for something from like a PlayStation 3 game that just doesn't work. But yeah, it's just and you want something from like Shakan the Forever Man on Genesis? I love that game. No one likes that game.
I never even heard of that game.
Oh, that game rules. It's really hard, but once you get used to it, it's a lot of fun.
No, I was gonna ask you because when you said come on boys, let's party, that just like random quote. Like a big thing when I was, you might hear one of my cats over there. Sorry.
It's fine. It's what they do.
That's what they do. Because what I remember back in like, I don't want to say the olden days of the internet, but do you remember All Your Base belonged to us?
Of course. Actually, my brother had texted me recently. He's like, "Why haven't you painted this yet?" Like,
you haven't painted it yet?
I haven't. Actually, the same size as the Earthbound on a 1620. I have the guy's face cropped, and just All Your Base is underneath it. That's all it says. It's just All Your Base. Like, I should just paint it already. I was about to, and then I got a commission came in or something, and I wasn't able to do it because like I have so many paintings started. I have like 3 canvases tucked back there, bigger ones. Like I started a big 12 by 36 of from Link to the Past, where you're walking up to get the Master Sword, and there's like the little animals that are running by. I started that, and I painted like an in progress shot months ago, and I still have people hitting me up like, "Where is that Zelda piece?" Like, dude, it happens so much. I'll be working on a piece, and then something comes in, and I'm not able to. But All Your Base, I'll get to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you said like random or just like random text or random things from games that maybe not people understand. Obviously, that was that basically of All Your Base was everywhere.
Yeah, right. That's an internet meme. So
yeah,
even
it's an internet meme.
Yeah, even if you're not really even familiar with retro games that much, you're still going to get it just from crazy internet culture.
Yeah, like I bought it because there's a brewery out in Arizona that I absolutely love going to. They're called 8-Bit Ale Works. They make all these video game inspired beers.
Cool. I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, and I went to last time I went was in 2020 before everything shut down.
Cool.
And they had a T-shirt that says "All your brews are belong to us." Instantly bought it. And then just recently, I want to say a few months ago, when Nintendo said, "Hey, here are some new games coming to the Genesis collection on the NSO." Guess what's there? Zero Wing. I turn it on.
That's from Zero Wing.
Yeah, and I see the meme IRL, and I freak the F out. And it's actually a really fun shoot 'em up.
I was going to ask, is it a good game?
I enjoyed it. I didn't get super far, but I was like, the fact that I could finally play this game.
Right.
It's been a meme forever. People have been referencing it ever. Every time I see an All Your Base reference, I get a little giddy inside.
Oh, of course.
And now that I see it, it's like, oh, I could finally play the game it's from, because I knew it was from a video game. I just forgot which one it was. Now I know.
And it was on, you said it was on the Genesis Mini?
No, it's on the Genesis NSO.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have the ROM for it because I wanted to get that screen cap. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad to hear that it's a pretty good shooter. Like the Genesis is like amazing for shooters anyway. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, like when whatchamacallit, the NSO, when Sega and Nintendo came out with the Genesis for the Nintendo Switch, I was looking at most of the game collections. I'm like, I have all those games already on my Mini. I have most of those games, but not Musha. I want to know what Musha is. It's a fantastic shooter. And I'm like,
yeah, I've played it on an emulator before. It's not worth whatever stupid price it goes for these days, But yeah, it's a fun game. It's a fun shooter. My favorite shooter on Genesis is Raid and Tread. That's an early release. You ever play that one?
I actually have not been much of a shooter guy for the Sega Genesis. Mostly what I've been playing when I play my minis is I love Sonic the Hedgehog. So
hey, you can't go wrong.
Of course, I'm playing Sonic the Hedgehog. I got a Genesis Mini 2 for Christmas, so I'm playing Sonic CD, which is my favorite Sonic game of all time.
Me too. I fucking love Sonic CD because, like I said, I had a Sega CD growing up. Sonic CD is amazing. That soundtrack is incredible. Hell yeah.
Oh,
I did a 12 by or a 10 by 10 painting of Sonic with Amy because that was the first time she appeared in a game with some heart above them. Yeah, if you go through that yeah, I love that. I've never beaten it to the point where you get the good futures for everything because you got to go back to the past and destroy the machines before Robotnik takes over.
Yeah, it's like
I've never been able to do that for all the worlds, but I've beaten the game before.
Oh, unfortunately I wasn't able to beat the game until 25 plus years later, and I beat it on my phone.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it was probably like I beat it like a year, maybe like 95. I was probably like 14 when I beat it.
No, I was well in my late 20s when I finally beat Sonic CD.
Hey, that happens. I was 24 years old when I finally beat Legend of Zelda on Nintendo, and that was on an emulator with a walkthrough because I just never beat it as a kid. We can't all get to everything.
Oh no! Hey, I will give no shame. I will throw no shade when people need to play. I'm playing the original Final Fantasy, like the PlayStation Portable version on my Vita. I'm using a walkthrough. I do not have the time to go through it organically.
No. I'm playing. I just beat. Like I love the original Dragon Warrior on Nintendo. That's what got me into RPGs. You know, you got it for free with Nintendo Power. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that did you know about that? That was a giveaway back then.
I actually didn't.
Yeah, just to get kids into RPGs in 1990. If you subscribe to Nintendo Power, they gave you a free copy of Dragon Warrior and like all this extra shit with it. It's really cool. Wow. So I had it back then, and that's how I got into it. And then I played Summon Dragon Warrior 2, and I'm playing the third one now, the re-release on the Switch with like updated graphics and stuff. It's a fantastic game. It's the first time I played Dragon Warrior 3, but every dungeon I am using maps and like walkthroughs. Like no, I'm in a pyramid or something, and there's traps everywhere. Like no, I'm not dealing with this. Tell me which way to go and where the treasure boxes are. I'm not fucking around.
Yeah, one of the games I'm playing now on my Genesis Mini is Crusader of Senti.
Oh yeah, that's like it's like a Zelda game, right?
Yeah, it's essentially the Genesis version of Zelda, but it's not a Zelda, but it's kind of like a Zelda.
It's really expensive, right? That's one of the big ones. Yeah.
One of the reasons why I'm so glad my best friend bought me that sucker is because it has it on there. I'm like, cool, I don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on it.
I'm all for if it's an expensive, fun game, just emulate it. Like everybody should emulate Little Samson. Don't pay that price. Experience that game. Don't pay $2,000, whatever stupid shit it goes for. So I'm all for it. But Crusader of Senti's good.
Yeah, I'm loving Crusader of Senti.
Hell yeah.
I've been jumping back and forth between a lot of games because, as you said, there's too many games. The backlog is never going to get finished. I have been I haven't gone out and gotten Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core for the PS5 because I got Sonic Frontiers and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet during the holidays for my birthday and for Christmas.
Yep.
And even now, it's like Tales of Symphonia Remastered is coming out. Not only that, there's a bunch of other games like Metroid Prime at the time of this recording. The Nintendo Direct just happened this week.
Right.
Metroid Prime Remaster.
I never played Metroid Prime. I'm curious to play it.
Oh, I follow a bunch of other gamers on Twitter, and they are saying the remaster is amazing.
Really? Awesome.
They're saying it looks so good, and I'm like, yes. I'm a physical guy. I'm waiting until the physical release comes out at the end of February. But I completely understand that just doing a guide, just using guide, or just like pointing to the reason why I use a guide is just so I know where to go and I'm not lost and just roaming for hours. Because that was one of the things that actually got me to stop playing some games when I was a kid because I didn't know where to go.
Oh yeah, that was like so much of the of like this. So many Nintendo games were built around that. But then like I hated like the Friday the 13th game growing up, and then like I learned about it later on and like how to play it. And like, oh, this game's a lot of fun once you know how to do it. Or like Goonies 2 on NES. Like that game again, it's like a mind fuck. Like you don't know what the hell to do unless like you have a walkthrough and you learn it. And Goonies 2 is great. I love that game. So yeah, a lot of them. I mean, come on, like look at James's old AVGN episodes. Like how many times does he say like, "Oh, this is a where the fuck do I go" kind of game? You know, that was so much of the NES games we grew up with.
Yeah, or even when I was a kid, the first Metroid game I ever played was Metroid Fusion for the GBA. I loved that game, but I got stuck because I didn't know where to go. I must have just like completely skipped all the dialogue because the dialogue in the game does give you a general direction. It's like, hey, go that way, and then you explore the area. I skipped it, or I just must have just gone over my head because I hit a wall. I don't know where to go. I sell my original copy and I'm mad about it years later. And then I finally get it back. I replay it. Oh, my favorite Metroid game of all time.
Yeah.
Nice. Super Metroid's great. Samus Returns on the 3DS is an amazing remaster. And of course, I absolutely love Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread was my game of the year for 2020. That
was the one that came out on the Switch, right?
Or excuse me, 2021. Yeah, that was when that came out.
Yeah. We have it. I haven't played it. Metroid was a series that I never played as a kid. I rented it or I borrowed it from friends on Nintendo or played it at a friend's house. And it was fun. I just didn't know what to do or where to go. So when Super Metroid came out, my brother, it was everywhere in Nintendo Power. Like they had walkthroughs, there was comics. It was like front and center, Super Metroid. My brother and I did not care at all. Like Metroid is just a series we don't care about. So I'd never played Super Metroid forever. I finally played it when the Super Nintendo Mini came out a couple of years ago, and I see the genius of it. I just hate that X and A are like shoot and jump. That annoys the hell out of me. Like the X button is shoot and like A is to jump on the controller instead of Y and B. Like that drives me. That annoys the crap out of me. But otherwise, I can see why everyone says it's a 10 out of 10. I haven't beaten it yet, but yes, Super Metroid is a wonderful game.
Yeah, I think I switched the buttons because there is an option in the game, like in the.
Oh, there is.
There's a way you can like map the buttons to your preference, but I do completely understand that is annoying as all hell.
Yeah, X and A are like supplementary buttons. Y and B are always like jump and shoot. Y is shoot, B is jump. Like you don't switch those.
Nope.
No.
For me, Metroid's most annoying feature was the wall, or Super Metroid, I should say. It was the wall jumping.
Dude, I actually got stuck on that when because I started a new game, but the furthest I got was where you get to the tunnel and there's the cute little animals and they show you how to do the wall jump. I never could get that down. That's the furthest I've gotten.
I must have wasted about 20 minutes on that one spot, and I even paused the game. I took because I was trying to pseudo speed run it because I was watching the way I was playing it. I was watching players like go to certain areas, I want to try and get all the items. I unfortunately did it because at one point there's one where you had to really pixel perfect, get the right jump and move a certain way so you could get a missile tank. Yeah. And at that point I was like, you know what, F it. I'm almost done playing to beat this game. I want to get to Fusion, so screw it. I'm just gonna go to the end without 100% items. But that I was like watching YouTube videos. I was reading walkthroughs on how to do the proper jump, how to do the wall jump, and I'm just like, why is this so difficult? Because the wall jump in Return to Samus on the 3DS is not that difficult. The wall jump in Metroid Fusion is not that difficult. Even in Metroid Dread, when I finally figured it out, it's like, hey, this is a lot easier than Super Metroid. I get to what everyone says is the best of the best, the crown jewel of the Metroid franchise, and that stupid wall jump made me want to rage quit so goddamn bad.
I did rage quit from it. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it, and I wasn't able to get the timing down at all. And there's old NES games like Batman on NES has some of the best wall jump mechanics in like any game. You like be against the wall and just hit jump and you jump, but it uses is like a physics engine of like his weight to it, so you can really nuance how you jump back and forth. So I don't know, maybe that's just so like tattooed in my brain that I was able to like disconnect of doing a wall jump in a different game with that. But I will go back and revisit it. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that that had that much trouble with, I think the stupid wall jump.
Yeah, I think that almost every other retro gamer I've talked to about Super Metroid, because I do agree Super Metroid is the crown jewel of the Metroid franchise. It's not my personal favorite, but I do agree that it is one of the best games ever made. But that wall jump is, and the second I mentioned the wall jumping, every single one just kind of collectively goes,
fuck that shit. Yeah, everything else seemed very fair. Of like, okay, I'm lost. I need to go back, look at all my items that I have, look at the map, and then I'll be able to figure it out. And whenever I did that, I took a step back. Then it's fine. It's very fair. Like, okay, oh, cool, I missed this, and I should have done that. And any boss fight, like, fighting Kraid, he killed me a couple of times, and I'm like, all right, let me just see his pattern, and then he was easy. But yeah, that was the one thing to do. I will eventually beat it, so nobody get mad, because there's always someone that's like, how could you never play this game? Gamers get mad easily.
Yeah, unfortunately they do. I mean, there are times I get mad, but then as I have to remember, like, calm down.
Yeah, I mentioned something about the new Zelda being like, because it's $70, and I said something about like, oh, Super Nintendo games were $70 years ago. I don't know. This was just the other day, and now I'm still getting replies on my Twitter of like, how could you? Like, I don't care. Whatever.
I mean,
Twitter is not the real world.
No, it's not. I do agree. The new Zelda game, the new Switch Zelda game being $70. I'm pretty sure they put enough content in it to bump it up an extra 10 from regular Switch MSRP games.
Yep.
I mean, that's what the
and stuff like that. It's a AAA tier game. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. We're all still gonna buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be guilty of it. I'm gonna buy it day one. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the happiest about it, but at the same time,
no, I'm not. I mean, it's another $10, but come on, it's like this isn't the first time we've had to deal with this crap.
No. I mean, I remember when games were $50 and people were like, oh, it's so expensive. And then, because I remember a time, my dumbass, like, I'm a kid. I go to the store with my parents, with my mom, and I see prices. And the ones that were always ingrained in my brain were like PlayStation games were $40. And then Game Boy games were 30, and then the GBA games were 40, and then it went to 50. And I was like, I don't know. That's really expensive. My dumbass never really got those catalogs, like the old Toys R Us catalogs with the Sega Genesis games and everything when they were in their prime. Seeing how much Super Metroid, since we're on Super Metroid, how much Super Metroid was back in 1990, whenever it first came out, that was like
94.
Yeah, 94 for $80.
Yeah,
back then that's well, like, count for inflation. That's well over $100.
Probably more than that. Probably 80 now. I'm saying maybe like what it is. 170 or something like that, 160. Yeah, I remember Chrono Trigger being like $90. Final Fantasy 3, 6, whatever was around that too.
Yeah.
I remember. You ever play Ninja Warriors on Super Nintendo? It's expensive now. It was expensive back then. That's my favorite brawler. I remember renting that one, and I loved that game. And I wanted to buy it, and I remember seeing it at Babbage's all the time for $75. And I'm like, even then, I'm like, I don't want to pay $75 for it.
Oh,
so games were expensive like that back then too. Whatever, we'll pay for it. It sucks.
Yeah.
Nintendo's a greedy billion-dollar company. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I do remember the one time, like my biggest, or not my biggest regret, but one of the things where I should have bought it when I saw it at like MSRP was Pokemon Soul Silver. My dumb ass, because I kept seeing it at Target. Like, it was still at Target for a good long while, even after it came out. So it was like a year and a half.
What was that for?
The Nintendo DS.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because Pokemon Silver is my favorite Pokemon game of all time, I'd argue it's one of the best Pokemon games of all time. And it was at $40. And of course, my dumbass is like, oh, it'll go on sale eventually.
We've all made that mistake. We've all done that.
Essentially, future me would pop in. He's like, surprise, bitch. No, it ain't.
Yeah.
Buy it now. Or because you know how much that's going to go for the resale, the future CIB? And
I mean,
worse.
I remember I still have my original copy of Earthbound. I have my cart and my guide. The box got thrown out. I actually bought that from Blockbuster Video, like, because I wanted the copy. Yeah, what happened was my brother and I rented it. We loved it so much. And then I went back and I asked them at Blockbuster, oh, can you look up the copy that I rented on my parents' account and sell it to me in hopes my game will still be, like, my game save will be on there. And it was. And they sold it to me for like $20 or something back then. But I remember Earthbound being clearanced out at like KB Toys or whatever, or Toys R Us, like bins of them for like $25. And I mean, you didn't have a collector mindset back then. I was kind of sad like, oh, no one knew what Earthbound was. Like me and my brother and like, my cousin were like the only ones that liked the game back then. And then, when it started getting popular, when Smash came out, everyone's like, oh, who's this Ness character? But one of my collector friends, he I think he said he was working at KB, and when Shantae for the Game Boy Color was like, I remember him telling me there was like a bin of them just being clearanced out for like $1.99 each. And yeah, Shantae is like super expensive now. Even the cart is like hundreds of dollars. He could have gotten like stacks of factory sealed ones for nothing. He's like, even back then, he's like, I should. What do you got? Oh, for the Switch. Is that hard to get or something?
So yeah, this is from Limited Run. I wouldn't say it's super hard to get, but it's annoying to get.
Gotcha.
I got this and Risky's Revenge because Best Buy had them.
Cool.
Like this is like, so audio listeners, I have my physical copy of Shantae for the Switch. It has a black border around it, and it still has the original Game Boy art on it, but it has like Limited Run on the bottom.
Is that like a harder variant or something?
It's kind of, it was a Best Buy variant, and that's what they call it. Yeah, that's what they call it. I was just scrolling on Twitter one day, and one of the people I follow on Twitter said, "Hey, because I was just getting into Shantae, because I bought the game digitally on my Switch. I'm playing it digitally. It's one of those games I definitely need to go back and finish because I actually really enjoyed it."
Oh, and I have it. I played it on like my 3DS at first because it was on like the virtual store, and then I got into some of them. Yeah, Shantae series is great. That's really cool. You have that.
Yeah, and then I just went on like a Shantae video game buying spree because it was that and Risky's Revenge for the Switch, and they called the Best Buy variant covers. I drive to my local Best Buy and I ask them about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we have like 2 copies left of each game." I'm like,
"Sweet, I will take those. That's awesome."
Yeah, probably not the smartest purchase at the time, but I was
hey, it's there. You do it.
Yeah,
you get it. You say fuck it. Like, I wasn't planning to buy anything at Portland, and I was walking around, and I just what I was looking for was the Days Gone collector set, because like when that game came out, it had a lot of problems with it, and I love open world survival games, but I played it like last year on Steam, and it was all patched, and it's amazing. I love the game, so I was looking around for the I just wanted the sculpt of like Deacon on the bike with the zombies, and I see one guy has it, and I'm talking to him, and then I see the Streets of Rage 4 collector set, huge box one. And I'm like, you have got my attention on this now, sir. Like, so it was like $200 for it. Like, I don't even know how the hell I'm going to get this thing home. I actually had to go to like a shipping place down the street from the convention and ship it back to my house in Philly. So, and I forgot that I did. It took like 2 weeks to get here, and then it just showed up like, oh, late birthday present from my past self. How do you like that?
Hey, it
was $200, and it's totally worth it. I mean, I'm a Streets of Rage fanatic. Actually, here, this is one of one.
Ooh, one of one.
This was made for me, actually, from a vendor at Portland. Made me this. It's here somewhere. Here it is. This is an embroidered denim vest. I might have been wearing it at the show. It's just like a regular denim vest. Yeah, his business partner runs an embroidery business and made this for me. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Give me his information. I need shit like that.
His name's Rudy. He's a game vendor. He wasn't there at Portland this year. I was looking for him. He's a super nice guy. So shout out to Rudy, and what I can't remember his Instagram handle. But he so what happened was like a few years ago I was selling at Portland, and he was like right behind me, and he had like, I don't know, Double Dragon music on or something. And I turned around and like, yeah, crank that up. And then we just got to talking about brawlers the whole weekend, and he was awesome. And then that was 2018, and then 2019, he messaged me like on Instagram. He's like, "Hey, you at Portland?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm hanging out." He's like, "Yo, come to my booth." I'm like, "All right, I was gonna come by anyway, say hi." He's like, "I got something for you," and he just hands me this. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, yeah, man. Like, we just wanted to give you something. Like, you're awesome. We love your art. Like, I was gonna give him money. I had like cash in hand. He's like, "No, I'm not taking this." Like, well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten.
Oh, my heart.
Yeah. Part of like our shtick with our band is wearing like denim vests and stuff. So the Streets of Rage denim vest is with that. Is part of the band outfit.
That is too. I mean, you mentioned your band before, but I have one more question about your art I want to ask
Sure. Whatever you want
before
to
we
do.
jump in, because I do want to talk about your band real quick.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So earlier you mentioned how you won't do anything from the PS3. Understandable. That's like that's high def. Now you do 16-bit art, you do 8-bit art. What's the highest bit that you are willing to go
If
for a
it's
piece of art?
pixelated, I mean, I've done Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but I have to like severely scale it back because there's just so much color in that. I'm actually working on an 1824 of what, when you meet Death at first and he takes all your weapons away. It's right in the beginning.
Bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to do a painting of that. So I'm still doing the layout for it. Symphony of the Night is great. I never played that when it came out because like I wasn't really that into it back then, like the Metroidvania idea. But recently I've played it and the game's amazing. So yeah, so like PlayStation, PlayStation, Sega Saturn. I could do like digitized graphics and I could create pixel art from it, but just the process from doing that is like insane because I got to take like a screenshot and then build it into custom pixel art, which is incredibly time consuming process. It could take like, maybe like 100 hours or something you're going to sink just into that before you even transpose it to a painting. So because I have people that ask me like, oh, can you do this from The Last of Us or something like that? And it's like, you got at least $5,000 to start. We could talk about it. So that's how much it costs for that.
All right, so probably
like the mid 90s Sony PlayStation, Sega Saturn era, or maybe depends if it's pixelated Dreamcast, but I'll say mid 90s is the latest.
So essentially like the N64, that's it.
Well, the N64 is polygonal based, so that's different. But I could create pixel art from that because polygonal shapes could translate to pixel art. That's already kind of skirting the edge there.
Okay.
But mid 90s pixel based stuff. Okay. And then, obviously newer stuff, you have like Shovel Knight, that looks like an old retro throwback. That works too. I'm just talking about, where the cutoff was for mainstream games.
So essentially, if it's made of pixels, you're good. If it's not made of pixels,
then we could do it. But even like the later ones, like I'm talking like PlayStation stuff like that, there's already a ton of work to do of recoloring, scaling down, redrawing because the color palette was huge by that point, and there's so much nuance of color in it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
mean, if it's pixelated, I could make it work.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know. But there might be some ideas for things in my head. I'm not saying.
Please throw them my way.
So you talked about having a band. What is this band?
Oh, so I play bass in the band called Rex Viper. We're a mashup of like rockin' 80s music mostly. We have some other songs that are not now, but the thing is of just taking like music from like movies or well-known music and then mashing it up with video game music. That's our thing that we do. So have you heard of our band? We're recording our album. We've only played 2 shows. We've only played it at Too Many Games in Philly twice. Okay. Yeah. So we got started in like 2019 with this. And you're familiar with like, Cinemasker, Angry Video Game Nerd, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay. James Rolfe, the guy who does the AVGN series, he's the rhythm guitarist of the band.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So like he wanted to play music for years. So like, it's just all these other like content creators. You're at like every con together. So everyone just, we know each other. Like I've known James since, I don't know, like 2010. We've been friends just going to all these cons. And even before I was doing pixel art, I played in like punk rock and hardcore bands and stuff like that. Nothing ever of note or anything, never any bands that got really anywhere. But, I played music for years, and then, he always mentioned too, he's like, oh, besides, doing games and game reviews, like I play guitar, and we always talked about, oh, wouldn't it be fun to play music? So the way this came about in like 2019, me and him, my partner Nina, and our friend Rob, we went to go see Guar in Portland. And we're after the show, I'm sitting at the bar with James, and he's talking about this idea that he had for a band. And I'm like, fuck it, why are we not doing this? And then like COVID hits and we started doing that. So it started with like me and him just like recording riffs and sending them back and forth, and then we got a whole bunch of other people involved, and now it's a big 6-piece band. It started as a COVID project, and it's kind of difficult, because as being a COVID thing, our lead singer and our lead guitarist are from Toronto, so yeah, it's kind of hard for us to play shows together and practice. But everybody is a very solid, talented musician. You know what everybody's going to bring to the band, so it worked out really well. We've played 2 shows so far. Unfortunately, at our last one, our keyboard player's his keyboard died as we were going on stage. Yeah, because we didn't get a sound check before, and we were all like super pissed about it. Yeah, so we had to make do with that. Yeah, but we're gonna make sure with the next one. We're gonna play too many games this year, hopefully, and we'll have everything done. But we're working on a record right now. So in between painting, I've been recording bass parts.
That is really cool. Because a lot of times when you hear stuff that is like, oh, we got through COVID, we barely got out of COVID, but the fact that you started this project in COVID, you have a record coming out, and you've been playing shows. It's
amazing.
That's an uplifting story, because when you hear a lot of people say, hey, we have this project, then COVID hit and it just fell apart, it's like, yeah, well, that kind of makes sense. But hearing that your project started and it thrived, that's a really good feel-good story.
It is. Well, it actually, COVID gave us the time to start it, because all our schedules, by then, because it was like right in the beginning. Our first song was like the Mighty Wings and Hadouken song, which it's Mighty Wings from Top Gun and Ken's theme from Street Fighter.
Please tell me that's on Spotify.
We have four songs on Spotify.
Oh, thank God. Sorry,
like,
I'm going straight to your Spotify, and I'm like following and checking these songs on my thing.
Keep in mind also, because people are like, oh, the mix doesn't sound that great, this doesn't sound that good, that doesn't sound that good. We weren't able to record in a professional studio. We all recorded this on our own time, and the pieces were put together. So the recordings we have on there, we consider glorified demos. Now we're getting it all studio recorded, so stuff, and we're going to work with a producer, so it'll sound a lot better.
What's the name of the band one more time?
Rex Viper.
Rex Viper. That's
the most. I don't know why sounding name.
I don't know why I kept thinking Rex Raptors. Why am I thinking about the guy from Yu-Gi-Oh?
The name came from James created a character called Rex Viper Riggs for some truck game or something that he did a nerd episode of, and that was a mascot that was selling the game. I forgot what it was. It was in one of his nerd episodes. And then we were throwing around ideas, and someone mentioned yo, what about that Rex Viper character? How about Rex Viper is just this mystical character, we'll do some 80s action movie thing saying we're some band, we're loading into our practice space, and these punks tried to jump us, and this mystical guy called Rex Viper, who was the guardian of the streets, saved us. So that's how we named the band. And all right, yeah, that's a cool idea. let's do that. So that's where the name came from.
Yeah, I found it. Yeah, I don't know how the audio is good, because I don't want to play it off my phone right now, because I don't know how the audio is going to transfer very well. But the second you said Mighty Wings and Hadoukens, I freaking love the song Mighty Wings from Top
hell
Gun.
Yeah. That's the song from Top Gun. Everyone is Danger Zone. Danger Zone rules, but Mighty Wings. Mighty Wings is the song.
Mighty Wings. It's you have Danger Zone, but Mighty Wings.
Yeah. When we recorded that, we didn't have a solid keyboard player. Our buddy Kieran, who works for Cinemassacre, he would just noodle around playing keytar. So he did the Ken's theme in the song, and we didn't know what we were doing. So the song doesn't have the keys that you would expect. But now that our keyboard player is, have you ever heard of the band Cheap Dinosaurs?
I have not, sadly.
Okay, the keyboard player Dino from that band. Dino is incredible and is our keyboard player. So I can't even wait to hear what they're going to bring to the band. Yeah, for the keys part. But so keep that in mind when you listen to the songs. That they sound good for what they are, I guess, but they are glorified demos.
Yeah, but you are also making an album, and I can only assume this album is going to eventually pop up on Spotify eventually.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're planning to have our own separate YouTube channel for it. It's everything. The songs now are on Cinemassacre, but we want to keep it as a separate project thing. So we're going to make our own channel for it, and then once the album is out, we're we'll have like new merch and all sorts of stuff. We're gonna have it. My idea is to have it on vinyl, and then also like have it on cassette too, and then have like a digital download code in there. But actually have the music on a cassette too. A lot of bands do that, and it kind of fits with the '80s aesthetic to have a cassette. So.
Quick little tangent. How awesome is it that things like vinyl and cassettes are coming back?
Oh, it's great. I love it. I have my friends, this guy Matt, he goes by Watch Out for Snakes. I have his tape up there. And you ever heard of Cybertronic Spree? They're from
I don't believe I have.
Canada.
I don't.
Oh, they're amazing. They dress up like the Transformers and they play the music from the Transformers movie from 1986. They just played at MagFest. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing.
I got lucky to see Stan Bush live once.
Oh, wow, really?
It was at Universal Studios in Hollywood for a big. It was right before the Transformers Age of Extinction. It was right before Age of Extinction came out. And me and my co-host on the main channel, Fake Nerd Podcast, he called me. I was like, "Hey, you want to go to this Transformers thing at Universal?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, and I was like, "So what's going?" He's like, "What's going?" I was like, "Oh, there's gonna be artists there, but the main takeaway is Stan Bush is going to play live." I'm like, "Stan Bush," because I finally knew who Stan Bush was, and we went, and it was awesome.
Oh, I grew up watching the Transformers movies, so like The Touch and Dare. My parents have home video of me like singing along, watching the Transformers movie, playing with my Transformers. Like the 86 Transformers movie is like probably in like my top 10 of all time. But we cover The Touch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We mash it up with Double Dragon from NES, like the title theme in Mission 1. And then the outro for The Touch is the DuckTales Moon theme. Ooh. So we played it live. We have a basic idea for a music video, and we're still in the process of recording that one. So we're getting like the bass drum, the drums and the guitar. I still have to record the bass for that one. But yeah, that was one song like we had to do. My one stipulation for that is like when the guitars come back in and that really heavy guitar hit, we got to emphasize the fuck out of that right before the big So we're doing that.
I think you enjoy this because once again, Brandon, the same guy I went to see Stan Bush with, he got me for this for Christmas a while ago, and it's a little
the reaction figure.
It's a dead Optimus Prime. It's after he dies in the 86 transfer. It even says Fallen Hero Optimus Prime on it.
I cried many times watching that. That really was one of the saddest things. But then you get one of the coolest scenes ever right after that with Megatron and like the rest of his, the Starscream and Thundercracker and all of them, meeting up with Unicron and him changing them into the new guys, the new toys to be sold, pretty much.
Yeah, the new toys. Yeah. Oh, I can't tell you because my brother rented Transformers at the local video store way back, and when we were watching this movie, because we're little kids and we know of Transformers, we love Transformers. Or at least he loves Transformers.
I should apologize for what I said, that it was not Starscream because Starscream betrayed him. It was Skywarp and Thundercracker that was thrown out to meet up. Because someone, I'm sure, is complaining right now. Like, this motherfucker said it was his favorite movie, and he's saying Starscream. No, Starscream's a bitch. He got what he deserved.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hate him too. It's weird. I hate Starscream, but I kind of like Starscream a lot of times.
It's funny. It's just it's the same voice as Cobra Commander. It's the same guy. It's literally the same voice.
What a bet, Starscream! Yeah. But yeah. So when we got to the scene and when Optimus dies, my brother and I were the first time we watched this movie, we stopped it because we were upset.
Oh yeah, legit upset. Yeah,
like we were angry that Optimus died. Optimus was our favorite. We loved Optimus Prime.
Oh yeah, of course. He's the hero.
And the fact that he died, I was so mad. And then years later, and then like a few other times we watch it, we're like, okay. But I will not lie. The second when Hot Rod takes the Matrix and you hear "Arise, Rodimus Prime."
Oh yeah.
It's just like Optimus is still there.
Yeah, I have a small figure. I don't know what series it was from, but it's right when he becomes Rodimus is opening the Matrix. It's a small figure of that. I have it in my basement somewhere, and I would just keep it on my desk. But even though, Hot Rod was the one that got Optimus Prime killed by being a punk. But I love Hot Rod. I fucking love them. Hot Rod, I took really good care of my toys. Hot Rod was the one Transformer I broke from transforming him too much because you had to twist the top. And it popped off. Yeah, that was like that and Casey Jones for Ninja Turtles. Those were the only two toys I ever broke because I played with them too much. Yeah, Casey Jones's leg broke off because I played with him too much.
No, well, yeah. Hey, but you know what? You were doing what he was made for, to play with.
Exactly.
And it was not out of malice, it was out of love.
It was. I actually I collect toys, but all Transformers are just like I don't even want to get into that because it's so expensive. But I would like to have like a complete original Hot Rod. I think they go for like, I don't know, $70-$80. Yeah, but yeah, that's one thing I want in the collection.
Yeah, I had a lot of our Transformers Armada toys that I mean, at one point in time, I was just trying to get rid of stuff. A lot of my old Gundams I got rid of. Well, it didn't get rid of, but my dad and his wife, when they moved to Texas, they took those toys, brought it with them, so that way the grandkids could have toys to play with when they would visit.
Were they like the model kits? Is that what you had for the Gundams? My brother was more into that.
Oh no, I didn't have. I had like 2 model kits, but they weren't that. It was the Burning Gundam and Bolt Gundam. But
I'm not really familiar with it. I remember. My brother's 4 years younger than me, and he was really into it. There was even in like the late 90s, there was this mall we would go to that had like an import shop, and it was crazy. It was like 99, so you could still get like stuff like that in malls. And he would get the Gundam kits, like it was all in Japanese.
Yeah,
so it was really it was the model kits he was getting back then.
Yeah, but no, they were model kits. They were like actual action figures that Bandai would produce. So like they were, they were made to be played with. They still had small parts because it's Bandai, it's Mobile Suit Gundam. They're tiny.
Yep.
But for me, because I was a kid, I was watching Gundam whenever I could on a Cartoon Network. So I'm like, ooh, I go to my store was my local Kmart. I would go to Kmart and I would just like look at the Gundam toys and then pick whatever new ones they got and then just go back home. And Toys R Us, I found out, had a bigger selection, but I never went back there. I only went there once.
Yeah, Toys R Us, I just miss having a big box toy store. Actually, like Walmart and Target have actually stepped it up. It depends, like in your area, because I've heard like some Targets are pretty bad, but there's one near me that's actually really, really good for finding like NECA figures. Or I'm a huge GI Joe guy. And I've been collecting the G.I. Joe classified line, and I've been finding stuff there. Yeah, they're like the Star Wars Black Series, the 6-inch. The G.I. Joe classified are like the equivalent of the Star Wars Black Series. They're pretty much they look like the original like 80s counterpart with like slight modern upgrades to them, but they still look exactly like them. And for a 6-inch figure, they retail for like $25. They come with a ton of accessories. The molds are perfect on them, so. They're great. That's the one series I've been collecting. I have like a whole shelf full of them right here, and like on top of this right here, I have a whole bunch of new ones because I've run out of space.
No, I have like they coming out with like new Gundams that are a different type of plastic, but they're pre-assembled. They're not like the models that you can get. Like, because I would love to try to build the models. I just don't have the time and also the money and the patience.
Yeah.
And
those are all like things we're in the short supply of these days.
Yeah. And even when it comes to like other, like you said, Transformers, speaking of Transformers, this is like one of my favorite Transformers that I have right now.
Awesome.
Gigawatt. My brand gave it to this movie for my birthday a few years ago.
Cool.
Because Back to the Future, one of my all-time favorite movies, and the fact that they made a Transformer out of it.
Transforms into the DeLorean. I saw that. Yeah,
he transforms into DeLorean. I'm like, that is so rad. I want him.
So speaking of Back to the Future, the second song we did with Rex Viper, it's Power of Love, and the Back to the Future theme is mashed up in it, and the NES music, that because that riff is the riff of Power of Love. So we have like a metal like interlude of that in there too. I just re-recorded that one the other day. That the bass part, the fast part is tough to play on bass to nail all the notes. But, so please give that a listen.
I am going to enjoy listening to these. So we're coming up on time, but before you go, you mentioned that you were in Philadelphia. At the time of this recording, a certain game is happening in less than 24 hours.
That's right. I forgot about that. And then I walked around the corner to get breakfast this morning, and all the people working there, they have like green face paint on. It's like, that's right. There is a thing going on because I'm not a sports guy whatsoever. But yes, there is a thing going on.
All right, because I was about to ask you if you were, because I was going to say, if you are a sports guy, I was going to say go Eagles, because I'm a Las Vegas Raiders fan, and one of our arch rivals, the Chiefs, are in the Super Bowl again.
Wait, the Raiders are Las Vegas? I thought they were Los Angeles.
Nah, we're in Vegas now.
When did that happen?
A few years ago. We were we were in Oakland, went to LA, went back to Oakland, and went to Vegas. Because the Chargers decided to move up from San Diego to LA.
Okay, yeah, because all I knew about the Raiders was like Tecmo Super Bowl. They were good because of Bo Jackson. Then that's literally that's my. Ben, I am 41 years old. I don't know all the rules to football. I really don't. I don't understand all the rules. I don't. It's fine. It's just not. It was never ever my thing. I was into basketball when I was like in the early 90s, like the era of like Michael Jordan and all that.
Space Jam.
Yeah.
That's how I got into basketball, is because of Space Jam.
It introduced a lot of people into it. So yeah, I would if I had time, I would love to get back into basketball. But football, that was never was into it. My neighbor across the street has a massive Eagles flag. My brother lives in Philly also, and we have both, like, when he got here, he's like, I have never, and we're both from New York too.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah. Like, and we're both like, I've never seen a city more dedicated to a sports team. I mean, Philly is nuts about the Phillies and the Flyers too, but of how crazy they are about the Eagles, I have never seen a more dedicated city to a team. So like when they won, the Eagles won a couple of years ago.
They did.
And I was playing, we're playing games, and we had the win. I don't know. We just heard from outside, like, whoa, like everybody just yelling. And we're like, and we look at each other and we're like, oh, I guess they won. And then like people are out dancing in the street and going crazy. I mean, the area of Philly that we live in there's an area that's coming up, and there's an area that's kind of nuts. That's Philadelphia for it. I mean, Philly's a crazy city anyway. I could already tell you, if the Eagles win tomorrow, it's going to be bananas out here. Like the greased up poles and people going crazy. That's in Center City. That's like 10 minutes from where I live. I don't live in that area, but our neighborhood will still be pretty crazy.
You'll because unfortunately, my TV situation, because I probably won't be able to watch the game because I don't have the Fox streaming service. I have the other services except for Fox, so I probably won't be able to watch the game. Which I was gonna watch it for the commercials anyway, for the trailers, but those will pop up online anyway. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I'll probably be like, oh, I'll just play Sonic Frontiers or play Final Fantasy, just relax and enjoy my day before I have to record the podcast. But I can only imagine you could just be like doing, like, maybe working on a painting, and then you hear this, and then you mess a line, you go,
because the Eagles win, that's going to screw up my finger.
Because the Eagles won, they just, it's this huge cacophony of sound, and you screw up a brushstroke, and you go, son of a, you're like, God damn it.
Bitch, those Eagles owe me. That multi-billion-dollar team better buy this painting. Being an independent artist, I literally, if I'm not doing anything, I do work every day. After we do this, there's this like Japanese like food market that's opening up in Philly. They're doing like a grand opening today, so we're gonna go to that. We're really looking forward to it. But
wow,
But if I wasn't doing that, I would probably be painting. Actually, I will admit, you weren't the only one that screwed up on time for the podcast. I saw that there was a toy show in New Jersey today. Yeah, and I've been wanting to go to one, because like there's a bunch of GI Joes, like from the older ones I'm looking for, and I'm mentioning like, oh crap, like I'm getting up in the morning. I'm like, wait a minute, and I had to like check my calendar. I'm like, oh god, it's a good thing I looked, because it was like it was like right in the middle of the day. Like I'm glad I looked.
Yeah. All right. I mean, honestly, if you said, "Hey, I messed up, I'm at a toy show," I would have not been upset. I would not have been upset. Come on,
we talked about this like 2 weeks ago, and I promised you we would do this. So of course.
Well, I'll on that note, we'll finish up so you can get to that toy show real quick.
Oh no, I'm not. It's an hour away. I'm not going to be able to. But we are going to go check out that big Japanese market that's opening. It looks really cool. We're going to have some friends that are going to come with us too. That'll be fun.
Even better. You get to get some food.
Exactly.
Right. So Adam, thank you, dude. Seriously, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
This has been an absolute blast. You have an open invite if you want to come back on the show.
Sure. You could always just let me know if you want somebody to come on. We'll shoot the shit about something. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. So where can people find you on the internet?
You could find me mainly on Twitter and Instagram at squarepainter. I do have a YouTube channel I haven't uploaded in years where I did time-lapse videos of stuff. So if you're interested in looking that up, I do have a squarepainter YouTube channel. But, like I said, probably like 2019 was the last time I really uploaded videos. So yeah, Instagram, Twitter, that's where all my art is uploaded. As soon as it's done, photographed, it's on there. I do have a Shopify link on there for anything that is available. If you'd like a commission, please shoot me a DM on either of said platforms. I constantly check messages on there for that. So we can discuss something, figure it out. And please if you haven't already, subscribe to Cinemassacre. They're a huge channel anyway, but all the Rex Viper stuff is on there. And give Rex, yes, there we go. Gotta have that goofball's face front and center in the thumbnail.
All your listeners, I just pulled up Rex Viper on Spotify, and they got Mighty Wings, Nintendo Power of Love, Hearts on Fire. I have the
yeah.
No, you're gonna love this. Actually,
it's a heavier, like metalish version. Oh fuck yeah, I love it.
This was these were gag gifts.
I have the Sonic 3 handheld. I have it.
These were gag gifts when Tiger re-released these.
Yeah,
because I also have the X-Men one as well. But my friends call me Nostalgia's bitch on Fake Nerds.
Hold on with it.
And so I have I used to have a bunch of Tiger Electronics games when I was younger, and then I got rid of them. And of course, when they re-released them, I got 3 more. Oh hell yeah, Sonic 3 Bros. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, there we go.
Do you have batteries in yours? I didn't keep batteries in mine.
No. We bought this at GameStop for it was on sale for like $7. So fuck it, why not? People would talk about like nostalgia for those Tiger handhelds. Man, those systems fucking sucked. I hated them back then. They were the worst. It was garbage. But anyway, the video for the Tiger Electronics thing, it's a Game Boy and like a Tiger handheld fighting. So my partner Nina actually made puppets of a Game Boy and a handheld and like shot them on a green screen. At like of them like punching each other. So it was me and my keyboardist Dino, and we were at Rolf's place, like practicing, and someone else was there. I can't remember who. Anyway, we're like in his studio in like the green room, just like playing with these things, making them beat the crap out of each other for the video. No, it's funny. It was funny. James had a whole idea for it. So that's what I Have the Tiger Electronics is about the Game Boy and the Tiger Electronics thing fighting. And that song is actually it's mashed up with the Dr. Wily theme from Mega Man 2.
Even better.
Better.
Yeah. I love that theme. I love that.
Our lead guitarist, James Ronald, he goes by Epic Game Music. Everybody go sub to Epic Game Music and follow him on Twitch, Meme Mansion. He's hilarious. But James Ronald is like, he is so fucking talented. He is the one that will come up with like the basic ideas for arrangements. Like, hey, this song will work well with this song. Let's do this. And he'll put together like a basic MIDI file. So he threw that together because I had an idea for Dr. Wily's theme for a different song. I wanted to mash it up with an AC/DC track. And he sent me, I remember like I was in the car and he's like, yeah, I got an email. Like, hey, he sent the MIDI file. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? This goes together so well. Yeah. So please give them a listen.
Don't you just love it when things like that just like
they come together? Yeah. So for those 4 songs also on Cinemassacre, if you watch them on there, we do have music videos for them too.
All right. So yeah.
Yeah. So all of those we generally had to film by ourselves because it was COVID. So it was like, it's like super infection time. We all had to do it separately. And then James just put it all together.
Still, all right. But yeah, anyways, go check that out. Go
Please.
check Adam out. His art is truly amazing.
Thank you.
I'm still mad at myself that I wasn't able to buy a painting from you in Portland. I'm still angry about that.
Everything is available on my shop. So if there's anything that you like, I have plenty of pieces there. I will probably be at Portland again this year. I still have to figure out travel arrangements for that. But yeah, if you're coming out East Coast, I'll be at Too Many Games in June at that.
All right. Well, if I do head out there, cool. But as far as I know, because Portland was the only out of state convention I've ever been to, and even then, that was a bit of a stretch for me to go.
So you said you're from Arizona?
No, California.
Oh, you're from California. All right. Have you been to like the San Diego? I know my buddies Patney and they do CU podcast. They always go to the San Diego one.
San Diego Comic-Con?
No. There's the San Diego Retro Gaming Expo or something.
I did not know that existed. I'm gonna
There's a San Diego Retro, and then there's the other one, the Game On in Arizona in Phoenix.
Okay. Yeah, haven't been to Game On because we do have a convention here in Southern California called SoCal Gaming.
That's what I'm talking about. SoCal Gaming, not the San Diego one. It's SoCal Retro Gaming. That's what I was.
That one. That one I go to.
Yeah,
That's right in my backyard.
Yeah, because Pat and Ian are always like, come out to this one. Like we would like to.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually got to meet Pat and I got to
They're
meet
great
Pat
guys.
twice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've known them forever. I was back in the days of websites. I was part of RetroWare TV for a while. So so I've known all those guys for forever.
Nice. Well, if you ever come out to California, let me know.
Oh, I'd love to. I would love to.
But yeah, anyways, go check out Adam's stuff. The Square Painter, Instagram, Twitter, of course, Rex Viper, Spotify, YouTube on the Cinemasker site. I'm missing anything? We good?
I think we're good. We're good.
Awesome. And of course, you can follow me on the internet, Ben Magnet27, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Fake Nerd Podcast. That's the main show. Fake Nerd Podcast.com. That's the hub for everything. Once again, Adam, thank you so much for coming on. It has been an absolute blast. And I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be great to see you again. Hopefully at Portland.
Hopefully at Portland or hopefully at a different convention. Who knows?
Who knows?
Anyways, until next time, unpause.